Welcome to the Independent School Podcast with me, Juliet Corbett. This is the place where we get curious about leadership and strategy within schools. We talk about how strategy can help you deliver multiple goals, juggle various stakeholders, and most importantly, how thinking and acting strategically can help you get more done and feel less exhausted at the end of each day. This week we are diving into the topic of AI again, and I'm going to be talking you through 4 ways that AI will impact education. Now, anyone who can tell you that they've got answers around AI probably isn't being entirely truthful. So what I'm doing in this episode is guiding you through the questions that you should be asking. And I think we have to acknowledge that at the moment this is a hugely fast-paced, changing environment. What I'm trying to do in this episode is to give you a framework that won't date too much, that will structure the questions that you can ask within your school community, which will help you to guide your strategic approach to AI. Okay, without any further ado, I'm going to dive into these 4 ways that AI will impact education. The first way, the obvious way, is going to impact the way that we undertake teaching and learning within schools and assessment as well. So this is actually that what happens within the classroom will change. There's no fighting against it. There's no way to hold back the tide. We have already passed the tipping point in terms of the impact that AI is having and will continue to have in education. So we have to ask the questions and embrace this new technology and its impact. So first of all, teaching and learning. Obviously, this is your raison d'etre as a school. This is what you believe in. This is where your root for the passion for education is really embedded within the classroom interaction between a teacher and a pupil, which enables that teaching and learning to happen at the most productive and efficient way possible to produce young people who are capable of continuous learning throughout their lifetime. Now, anyone who's predicting that we're going to be seeing robots at the front of classrooms as fully enabled AI teachers probably is a little bit off the mark here. But there was a quote that I saw recently which I think really resonates with me. AI won't replace teachers, but teachers that can't use AI may be replaced. This really gets to the root of the fact that AI isn't going to take over the teaching and learning responsibilities within your school. However, if teachers aren't embracing the opportunities that AI presents in the classroom, particularly around things like learning differentiation, around the continual assessment of pupils in the class, not to provide a final assessment, but to assess where individual pupils are getting a little bit stuck or have misunderstood or just missed a foundational block in their learning. This is where teachers will be harnessing the power of AI, but filtering it through their uniquely human understanding of educational pedagogy. And this is based in instinct, it's based in emotional intelligence, it's based on things which AI will not be able to replicate, at least not within my lifetime. Maybe at some point, but not immediately. So the first area to be talking about and asking questions within your school is the impact of AI around teaching and learning. And then very closely connected to that, and I've actually kept this as all point number 1, is the assessment. Now, we know that, or at least I believe, that the way that we assess pupils within schools is largely driven by parent expectation and also by what their next step, often university, requires in order to enable our pupils to get their first choice destination for university. So often within the assessment system that we have within schools, and this is true across the IB, across A-level, some educational assessment systems are slightly more refined than others in certain ways of assessing skill set rather than knowledge. But basically the same applies to all of them, which is in the past, we've used certain ways of assessing pupils, especially where we're thinking about essays or scientific and mathematical proofs to demonstrate knowledge, that may well be replicated by AI, even now in its current format. This is the worst AI we will ever see in our lives that we're seeing at the moment. It will get a lot better, probably exponentially better, during our lifetimes really, really quickly. Now, views on what direction we're heading with assessment and the impact of AI are very varied at the moment. I had some fascinating conversations at the COBIS conference back in May, the Council of British International Schools, where there were really varied opinions on where this was heading, but there were some really exciting ideas around the potential for continual assessment, which pupils can't just fluke good results and pupils can't cheat by using AI because it's continually assessing pupils' development and progress through the academic year in a way that's so robust that actually we can remove the stress of the end of year or end of stage examination. There's no answers that I can give you, but this is the big area you have to be asking questions within your school. Teaching and learning and assessment, what happens in the classroom and the way that your pupils are assessed is the first way that AI will impact education. The second way that AI will impact education is related, but somewhat different, and that is we need to be preparing our young people, our pupils, for an AI native world. We're used to the phrase digital native, the idea that people in my generation, we kind of just about got digital native because it came along when we were in our sort of 20s so that we were able to adapt. Most of our working life, we've been digital native, but the other generations ahead of us have potentially, in some cases, struggled or needed to really consciously catch up so that they can use the digital world to their advantage, especially in a working environment. I am of the generation that is going to be left behind in being AI native unless I really try and make an effort to keep up with the developments. The pupils that are in our schools now will be AI native. So we need to allow them to explore in a controlled environment, but actually to explore themselves the pros and cons of AI and the various different technologies as they emerge over the coming years, so that we can guide them to understand the ethical use of these technologies as they emerge. Now, obviously, there are no answers to any of these questions, but actually I think this is the area where probably as schools we're most prepared, actually, because we have been talking for many years, more years than I care to remember, about the need to adjust the curriculum so that we're preparing young people for the new skill set that people need within the working world. We've talked about the importance of problem solving, the importance of creative and strategic thinking, critical thinking skills, the importance of embedding project work within our curriculum so that we're creating team working skills and problem solving skills within our pupils. We're doing most of these things already. We just need to dial it up much more quickly than we have been. And there's also really useful resources out there that are already, they're pre the most recent AI advancements, but actually they're giving us the answers that we need. And I'm thinking here specifically around the OECD skills reports and the similar ones from the World Economic Forum, explaining what employers need. Actually, most of that is pretty similar, maybe dialing up some of the coding side of things and the technology side of things, but most of it's there in those reports. And then the excellent work that's being done by the Centre for Curriculum Redesign, applying those skills reports to what needs to happen within our curriculums. I think we have the blueprint already there. It's just that we need to deliver it faster than we had ever imagined we would need to. So that's the second way AI will impact education. So to recap, the first was teaching, learning and assessment. The second was the skill set that we need our children to understand to be enabled within an AI world. And obviously they're closely connected, but I've separated them out because I think they are distinctly different. The third way that AI will impact education actually is where we think about the operational efficiency of schools as organisations. Let's strip away for the moment the fact that schools are about educating people, young people. Let's think instead about schools as businesses or schools as organisations. Every organisation on the planet will need to adapt its processes in order to harness the efficiencies which AI offers. So here we're talking about the back room side of things, not what's happening in the classroom, but instead what staff are doing behind the scenes. So for the non-teaching staff, the support staff side of the school, We are already seeing specialist AI-driven software, platforms, programs, etc., websites, which are offering to speed up things that people are doing longhand at the moment. This is particularly focused around fundraising data, prospect research, data analysis, fundraising databases that are already embedding AI. This is going to get much faster. And Adriana Williams and I talked about this a couple of months ago on a data-focused podcast, which I'll put in the episode notes. The other area is marketing as well, actually. There's going to be a lot of improvements. In fact, there already are a lot of improvements around creating marketing copy much more quickly, creating social media copy, editing videos, the ability to edit videos for social media, long-form videos for the website, podcasts like this that some schools are doing as well. A lot of this is now made faster already by AI. The questions we need to be asking are our staff informed and putting themselves in the right kind of circles of information so that they know about things as they emerge in the marketplace in order to really harness the efficiency that this offers. And then also teachers. Okay, teachers spend a lot of the time in the classroom, but as we know, a lot of the burden on teaching or on teachers is around lesson preparation, marking, and all of the other admin that goes alongside being a really good teacher in the classroom. There will be products, they're coming out already, but there will be an increasing number of products specifically harnessing the AI technology to make that side of a teacher's life a lot easier. And that means they can focus their time and their energy much more on what they're doing in the classroom. So this third way that AI will impact education around the operational efficiency of schools is critically important because it provides opportunities for us to reduce or control costs without impacting negatively what we're actually able to produce. What pupils and parents value is not negatively impacted by improving efficiency behind the scenes. And so we can really be exploring opportunities to control costs in this area. And within a UK context, that is a massive opportunity given the other threats in the political environment around the imposition of VAT on school fees as well. So that's the third way that AI will impact schools, the operational efficiency of schools. The fourth way that AI will impact schools is the disruption to the wider education sector. And this is what makes it urgent that you're asking questions in each of the preceding three areas, because we are going to see an upheaval, a really massive disruption within both the school sector and the higher education sector worldwide. This is going to impact migration patterns in terms of people moving overseas internationally for education. It's going to impact the already growing distance learning models that we've seen emerging and kind of accelerating during the pandemic. It's going to see a larger number of pupils shun higher education, formal higher education, because of the cost that's involved, in order to harness online alternatives, which are driven by AI learning models or teaching models. And we're also going to see hybrid models emerge. So we may see parents who are really struggling with fee affordability for independent schooling really having to reconsider and seeing their local state school combined with an AI delivered tutor opportunity. So something like Century, for example, AI tutoring alongside a state school experience actually being a preferable option for some parents. Now, this is going to influence different schools in different ways, depending on your parent body, depending on the impact of fee affordability on that parent body, and also depending on the alternatives that those pupils have in their local market, if you're thinking about day schools. But the impact, the disruption is going to be immense. And interestingly, when you read in kind of the BBC, FT, The Economist, a lot of the newspapers internationally, you'll see the classic kind of article that we're seeing at the moment, you know, the 5 sectors that are going to be disrupted by AI. Education is often on that list. This is not just me saying this. This is going to be huge. So the fourth way that AI will impact education is huge disruption to the whole sector. Now, if you believe me, and I really hope you do, understanding that disruption is coming means that asking questions around those first 3 ways that AI will impact the sector is really important. So you have to be now thinking about, do you have the skill set embedded within your school and your governance and your leadership to ask the right questions and continually learn about the impacts that AI will be having teaching, learning and assessment, the skill set that pupils need as they leave into an AI native world, and the operational efficiency of your school. Now, as you know, I always love to hear your feedback. What are you doing that's helping your school to navigate these things? Are you prioritising one of these areas and perhaps neglecting some of the others? What's resonated with you this week and left you with a sense of the questions that you need to go back into your school and ask? It's also wonderful to know from your feedback that people are finding these podcast episodes useful. Most people find this podcast because they're recommended by a friend. So please do one of your colleagues or your friends a favour. Forward this episode if you think it's helpful. You can also sign up to my mailing list. I'll put the link in the episode notes. So if you want to hear each Thursday morning a little nugget into your inbox with a pointer to each week's podcast episode, then you can sign up for that as well. Thank you for spending this time with me this week. Have a strategic week ahead of you, and please remember that if you're trying to think more strategically, you need to give yourself space to breathe, time to learn, and the courage to adapt. Look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye bye then.